What's going on, guys? Welcome back. So, like we said earlier, there are some seeds that we are starting in trays so that we can start seedlings and then transferring them into these above ground beds. However, we do have some seeds that, for example, these yard-long green beans, they rather be directly sowed into the ground. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, if you can see, I have quite a bit in here. Believe it or not, these are from the very last harvest of yard-long green beans we just had that used to cover this entire trellis. So I decided to grab some of the seeds, and some of these seeds will be available in the SimpliFarms store. Okay, guys, it's SimpliFarms with an S and then store, the complete word, .com. That's where you'll find your seeds so you can actually go ahead and get you some and start growing. Now, I know for a fact that if I start on these yard-long green beans, it's going to take about 70 days before I get some harvest, which would put us right around Thanksgiving. And the reason why I'm growing these is because I want to see them on the actual tray, because these things are so delicious. And imagining having these on Thanksgiving, that's enough for me to grow them again. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to actually direct sow these yard-long green beans. Everybody has their own method on how they do their above ground bed. Me personally, when I'm doing them, I like to first divide each one of these sides into 4 equal parts. So I go straight down the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know? Go straight down the middle, just like this. This is what I do. And then I do the same thing going across. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is to maximize the amount of things that I can grow in these spaces. So I have enough area to grow some stuff on this side here, some over there, and some over here. Now, a good thing about doing this is I like to put my plants diagonally, and then I put companion plants the opposite way. So that way you got protection from either side. What we're going to do is we're going to start putting some yard-long green beans on this quadrant on this side here, as well as there. Now, I'm going to put them closer to the actual trellis, mainly because when they start vining, they like to get onto that trellis as quickly as possible. And I really don't want them vining inside of this ground bed. I wanted to get on this trellis as soon as possible and start climbing up and start producing. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pick one of these sections, and I'm going to go in a opposite direction of how I made my separation. That way I can kind of see where everything is. So pretty much I'm building 2 little mounds, and these mounds are where I'm going to be putting my beans. So technically we can put 3 rows of beans in here. The way I like to put these seeds in, nothing special. You know, I do about 2 to 3 per hole, and I do about 2 or 3 of them in each line here. So I'll pick my finger, make a small hole, about 1/2 inch, 1, 2, and 3, right? 1/2 inch or so into the ground. These are yard-long green beans, so they need to be about 1/2 inch down when they are germinating. And then what I do is, in each of these holes, I put about 3 yard-long green beans in each of these holes. Some blew out of my hand just now. So I'll put 3 in this hole. Got 3 in this one. And we're going to do 3 in the next one. All right. And then what I like doing is I don't necessarily put the dirt back on top. I like to grab dirt away from the hole and just kind of like sprinkle it on top. So that way it's not compact or anything like that. Just put some dirt on top so you can just cover that hole. And then we're going to go ahead and water those in later on, and that should do it. So now we have 3 mounds of yard-long green beans. We're gonna grab some dirt, sprinkle it on top, just like so. Same thing with these. I love the sound of the cicadas. It's like bittersweet, because you hear them in the beginning of summer, and you also start hearing them at the end of summer. So kind of lets you know summer is almost done and fall is literally on the corner, because fall is September 21st and we're already on the 12th. Good time to get started on the garden. Now, you guys are probably wondering, who's this guy right here? Well, when I was growing watermelons in this bed, there was a small watermelon that cracked open And instead of throwing it away, I kind of dug down and pushed it further into the dirt. All of a sudden now, I guess one of the seeds from that watermelon decided to start growing. I'm gonna give it a chance. Let it do what it do, you know? I like to give plants chances as long as they try. Now that we got that, we're gonna go ahead and select our water setting. We're gonna water this in. Water these beans in. Gonna give them a good, nice little bit of water, get them nice and moist, and that's it.
Hey, if you've been enjoying the videos or picking up tips on growing your own food or living sustainably, consider buying me a cup of coffee. It's a simple way of showing your support to the channel, and it also helps keep the content growing, literally. Just hit the link in the description. Thanks a bunch.
So that's pretty much how we direct sow our yard-long green beans, also known as asparagus beans. They grow literally to about a yard long, and they are absolutely delicious on their own, or if you mix them with any other meats or you stew them, they're delicious. So I want to make sure I have some of these ready by Thanksgiving. So that's why I decided to put them directly in the ground. Another crop that I like to try to start directly sowing, which I know will do very well, is butternut squash. They do vine, but they're not necessarily winter crop or anything like that, but they do vine. So I want to make sure I put them close to this trellis over here, just in case they need to start vining up. And I try to, if you notice, I made the lines this way on horizontally. Now these, I'm going to be doing vertical lines to kind of give me a chance to see the difference in what I'm growing and where they are. So I'm going to build a couple of mounds. So we got a mound here and a nice mound right here. So we got two mounds formed, and these two mounds are going to be supporting our butternut squash that we're hoping to get ready by Thanksgiving as well. I know you guys can tell there's a little theme going on here. I'm trying to get as many things ready as possible for Thanksgiving, so that way our Thanksgiving table can feature a lot of things that I've grown here personally, not just things we purchase in the grocery store. So yard-long green beans. Now we're going to go ahead and put down some butternut squash, which I have right here. Like I said before, every seed that I'm putting down that's in packets like this, that's because these are seeds from a previous butternut that I actually grew out here. We saved the seeds. I personally hand-picked all these seeds, wash them, dry them, test them first before putting it on my store. So that way I make sure that they are going to germinate. I'm going to go ahead and put some in here. 2 mounds, 4 holes, right? Like I said, I'm going to be thinning these out so the strongest survive. That's how I look at it. When they start to grow, I'll make sure to start thinning them out to select the strongest of them all. Now let's grab some dirt, put it on top. And remember, we already mended this dirt to where it's above ground bed soil and some black cow manure compost. So what we're going to be putting in these 2 quadrants are some carrots. Yes, we're going to be growing carrots in these 2 sections here. Now, carrots are a little different because they don't like to be buried too deep, and they want to consistently stay moist, and they want to make sure that they have enough dirt to go as deep as they can. I'm going to be growing carrots that are shorter. You know, there are a couple of carrots, for example, these are called short and sweet, and then the other ones are called petite sweet. These are 2 types of carrots that I'm going to be putting in this side and in this side here, that they're not going to be very long carrots as you're usually used to, but they're going to be some shorter ones. So always think about your growing medium. In other words, what you're going to be growing in before you start growing certain things. With carrots, like I stated before, they're a little finicky. So first of all, they don't like to be too deep. When I say they don't like being deep, I'm talking about a 1/4 inch into the ground. And they want a little space so that way they can push it into the ground and spread. I always start with not a whole bunch. Carrot seeds are extremely tiny. So when you're trying to grow carrots, you have to be kind of careful on how you're spreading your carrot seeds. And I would recommend that when you do put your carrot seeds down, do not bury them. Use a little vermiculite on top so you can actually get them underneath something. But do not put a whole bunch of dirt on top of them, because you're going to sadly mistaken that your carrots are not growing, and that's because they never got a chance to reach the top of the dirt and hit the sun. So make sure you do the best you can, so that way you can make sure they're very, very shallow. Now, let's start with the petite sweet. Sun's fading pretty fast. So what I'm doing is I'm just sprinkling us a little bit here, a little bit there, like very thin line of them. Because once they start growing, you're going to have to thin them out. Do not allow them to just grow in a bunch, because if you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to get a bunch of little tiny, scraggly little carrots that are not worth much. I rather thin them out and end up with 10 to 20 carrots of really good size instead of 30 to 40 little carrots that I can't do anything with. So think of that when you have to thin out your carrots, because it's very important that you do that. You also have to do that with other plants. However, carrots are notorious. So I'm pretty much doing a line of them, you know? There we go. Now, we're gonna grab our vermiculite, put some on there to cover up those carrot seeds, because the one thing that definitely will destroy your carrots before they have a chance to grow is dryness. You do not want your carrot seeds to dry out. So you want to keep them moist as possible. And what I do is put the vermiculite on top, which helps me accomplish that. So I got my roll of vermiculite in there. Then I'm gonna water all this in some more, and we should be good to go, because this is the easiest, most simplest way to do it, because at SimpliFarms we grow the simplest way. So don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and do not forget to leave me a comment. Let me know what you're growing. All right, I'll see you guys soon.